Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's having a good weekend or a good day whenever you're seeing this. Had a wonderful day. I got out and about for a little bit and I took a walk. It was really humid. My hair is like fried. It looked really cute when I started out, but fried. Um, so a lot of people out today. It rained for the past week on and off a little bit every day. When it wasn't rainy, it was gloomy. So finally, we had some sun today. So everyone, and I mean everyone in the entire city, was out and about. And my sleep schedule's been thrown off. So I tried to stay awake for as long as I could today so that I could go to bed at a normal time. Now, normally I'll stay up till 2 or 3, but lately it's been later than that. And then I'm sleeping during the day, and it's just horrible. So I tried to do as many things as I could today and stay up. And then I came home maybe around 3, and I thought that all of like the pollen is really horrible here in the South right now. And I thought that with all of the rain that it would have washed a lot of that away. But if you could hear, my voice is really scratchy and I sneezed about 100 times. And so I came home, and as soon as my body was still, I went to sleep. I ended up missing a call from Colin, which I haven't been getting those calls lately. And it just figures that the day that I take a nap and my phone is on vibrate, that I miss it. But I did try to call him back. But I know, as the only other call that I've missed besides this one in the whole year and a half that we've been apart, that if I miss a call, you don't get a makeup. You can call and text. You can do whatever you want. If you miss that call, that's it. And that was your one shot. So hopefully, I'll get to hear from him next week. But in any case, I always pray for him every single day. And he knows that I love and miss him. But trying to think of what else happened today. I listened to a podcast today, and it was Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, which I've listened to a lot of Jordan Peterson lately. So it's my algorithm. I've synced up with everything that he's doing right now. And he can code switch like no other. I love it. I love to code switch, and I really am sympathetic for those that code switch for to be taken seriously, like as a necessity. I believe that code switching can be done to use it as like knowing someone's language, even though you still speak English or whatever, different dialects, different slang, different accents being put on things can easily connect you with another person um, if it's authentic. I don't like when people use it and they don't know what they're doing because it's not authentic. Anytime you're not authentic, you're not going to be taken seriously. So the whole point of it is to be taken more seriously, to effectively communicate with someone of a different background than yours as like a shortcut to like shorthand. It's an easier way to get someone to pick up what you're putting down. So he does it in a different way though. I do it more culturally, and he does it more academically and intellectually. Say like Joe Rogan is super smart, so don't get me wrong, but when I've listened to a interview between him and Russell Brand, your brain will be smoking. Much like I was saying, I'd rather listen to his books on audio than read them because of the language that he uses and the vocabulary, that I love how deep he gets and I truly understand it, but it's just easier to comprehend, to me anyway, when I'm listening to it rather than trying to read it, because I will get bored, my mind will drift. It's not as stimulating as it would be if I listen to it. It doesn't flow the same way. So if I'm listening to Russell Brand and Jordan Peterson talk, it is crazy. The way that they talk, the words that they use, the speed of the conversation, and the different accents. Are insane, but they just totally click. I mean, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Same wide range of vocabulary, mostly all large words, very complex um, meanings, and they'll go like in the same sentence, they'll go four different directions, and they both understand exactly what each other's saying, but because of their accents and because of how fast, because they get each other and they click, but necessarily not everybody listening to them is picking it up at the same speed that they're putting it down. Your brain will fry. You will need a break. But it's awesome. It's awesome. But when I listened to him with Joe Rogan today, equally stimulating, much different, much slower paced, very different vocabulary. And I believe the guy that the Christian review for his book, We Who Wrestle with God, the guy was talking about how he would code switch from talking about scripture back to psychology, which is his background, and he didn't appreciate that. But I appreciate that very much. I code switch. I don't do it when I'm talking to you because it's not authentic. I'm not looking at someone. I'm not discerning anything. I am just speaking to a screen. I'm not taking into account being face to face with another person and what their background is and what their dialect is and um, what their terminology is, that they're most comfortable with, how I can reach them clearly in a quicker instant. Like, it's just not the same. So I'm not going to sit here and code switch back and forth. I may do it if I'm telling a joke or something, but it's not. You might catch it every now and then, but it's not authentic and me sitting here talking to a screen. So you're not really going to hear it from me here. I, in listening to that, the Russell Brand part, I really liked how he said about his definition of discernment is to detect the divine in each moment. Where is God in everything? A transient verb rather than a description of the divine. I love that because discernment can also, it can always, when I'm talking about it, mean you're trying to pick something apart, you're trying to decipher, you're trying to discern whether it's good or bad. And I love how he said that it should be the detection of whether God is in something, that God should be in everything that you put your attention and your focus on. And that's how you can remain pure in your path and not be distracted by something that is has ill intentions or negative energy or anything like that. And I just love the way that he put that. And a lot of times people might not take him so seriously because he's a comedian and he's been vulgar, and he admits, how his life was hedonistic in the past, but he's very much changed that. And in listening to these conversations with Jordan, I can see how he's changed that. Now, of course, just like me quoting Kevin Gates, I don't know what he does in his personal life. I don't know if it really translates into the way that he walks with God every day. I don't know. And we all slip. We all have to course correct. No one is perfect. No man is perfect at all. So I don't know. But I loved his definition of that. And he's definitely saying impressive things. So you guys might want to check him out. But I hesitated about doing this message today because it was something that triggered me when I saw it, and so it let me know that it was something that I needed to work on. So then I stepped back and I just tried to observe it and not take it personally, because a lot of it was projections from the people that I was listening to, and it wasn't directed towards me, but it is part of the lifestyle that I live and the approach that I take in my walk with God, that I don't want to be judged because I don't want to judge anyone else. I don't believe, and this is going to be prefaced in every message that I give, because it's never going to change. I don't care what the message is about. I always believe that it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're not hurting yourself and anyone else. And that intentions mean everything. Everything. I don't care if you don't believe in God, you do believe in God. If you're Catholic, if you're Hindu, if you're pagan, if you're a witch, that you call yourself, I don't care what it is, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, God does not care. And you know how I know that? Not because it's in the Bible, most importantly because it's not in the Bible, because I believe that your direct connection to source is by going within at all times, taking out the middleman. This is my mantra. Take out the middleman. Like, be the light. Love is why. Take out the middleman. These things are running constant themes through all of my videos, and I will never, ever sway from that, because that's what I know to be true. That is my inner knowing. That is connecting to my higher self, which is the Christ conscience, the God conscience. He is inside all of us. You cannot believe in, and not be intellectually dishonest that God was inside Jesus, but he is not inside of all of us. Just because it was an immaculate conception or dogma leads us to believe that we are not to question immaculate conception or anything that's in the Bible, such as, walking on water, the communion, where that comes from, into splitting the Red Seas, Jonah being in the whale. Like, these are things that you're not supposed to question in Christianity. So if you don't question it about Jesus, and just think that because he was sacrificed, that or crucified, that he was murdered and in a heinous way for treason, and that he rose and that he died for all of our sins, that we are not created in the same image of God, that he is not inside of all of us too. Are we all called like Jesus? Are we all the son and daughters of God? Yes, we are. We most certainly are. And to say that we're not is just a contradiction, I believe. These are my opinions, okay? Because I connect to God directly, and that's how I know these things to be true. Any other way, Bible was written by man, and if you want to admit it or not, it's your path. You choose. It's your choice. I'm not condemning you for being verbatim, and everything is factual and you don't question it about the Bible. That is your choice. That is your path. I'm not condemning going to church at all. I'm just saying discern who you are led by, because it's opening you up to also be misled. Like, these are just possibilities, and possibilities are endless. And there's no ceiling as far as our power and our divinity, because that's how God made us. But I feel like institutions, from my experience, from my personal experience, institutions have put us in a position to downplay ourselves, to put God in a box, to put us in a box, to not realize how powerful we are, to not realize how we can connect directly to God by going within, by praying, by meditating, by anything that makes you feel connected to God, that is all that you need. That's all that you need, because it's all that I've needed. And so when I listened to this video, and just for people that don't know, dogma is, I wrote it down, a fixed, especially religious belief or set of beliefs that people are expected to accept without any doubts or questioning. And in Christianity, dogma is a belief communicated by divine revelation and communicated by divine revelation. The people that wrote the Bible are saying that they got this directly from God, but God did not write the Bible himself. And defined by the church. So interpreted, defined, giving definition to by the people in the church, which is where I want you to discern. Is God there? Discern that. Let it be the verb in everything that you do. Is that action. Do I feel God here? I'm going within and I'm connecting. Is there an inner knowing? Lord, please let me know. Is there an inner knowing that can tell me that this feels right or this feels wrong? This person from the church who is a man is fallible, no man is perfect. Are they leading me to you? Are they leading me through how you've led them? Or are they misleading me for self-serving purposes? Are they trying to get money? Are they trying to get me to judge other people and hate on other people? Just like I said, believe whatever you want if you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. And I believe that when you're being judgmental, when you are being hypocritical, when you are being very condescending, controlling, you are trying to put people down, you are shunning them, ostracizing them for not believing exactly what you believe, which in most cases, in my experience, is the Bible verbatim, or what the church has led them to do instead of what God has led them to do by them going within and connecting to source directly. Is that hurting someone? A lot of times it does. I have seen, that's the church hurt thing. I have seen church hurt many people by condemning them, by judging them, by ostracizing them after they have drawn them in. I have even seen documentaries where people that have been in these religious organizations have been told to carry out blood sacrifices by cutting their whole family off, and not people that were doing them harm, people that were loving them and trying to protect them and encouraging them to question the organization that they were in because something didn't seem right. Their discernment told them that this was not a healthy environment for them, and they did not kidnap them or tell them not to talk to these people, or they just said question it. And as in most cults, they don't want to be questioned, and that's what they ended up being in, other than a religious organization that they thought that they were joining. So I'm just trying to encourage you to question it. I am in no way saying that every church is like this. I'm saying that evil does creep into churches. It is used as a manipulative tactic to abuse and to control, and to not have you look outside of that church or what that church is teaching you, to go within, to directly connect with God, because He is in all of us. All of the answers are inside. All you have to do is ask Him, and He will reveal it to you. It may not be right then and there. It may not be by hearing His voice, some auditory thing, but He will show you in His own way, in His own time. He will tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. So always go within. Always use your discernment. Always directly connect to Him. I had seen when looking up the definition of dogma, it reminded me of that Kevin Smith movie, which I love Kevin Smith movies, but there's a movie called Dogma where it's about two fallen angels that are trying to get back into heaven. And the way that they know how to do it is basically by causing war within society. And there's this group that forms to try and combat that and keep society intact and keeping them from being harmed for the self-serving purposes of these two fallen angels, just trying to get what they need to get for doing whatever they did wrong. And then at the end, Alanis Morissette walks up and she doesn't say anything, but she is God. They have God as a woman in their movie, and that is a blasphemy a lot of times, even though that his movies are satire. They're comedies. Kevin Smith is Bob in Jay and Silent Bob. He doesn't say anything in his movies, but he's very funny. It's a comedy. It should be taken lightly. But that's where I first came into knowing about dogma. But the message that I heard that triggered me, that I had to sit back and observe and not take personally, was on a channel on YouTube that popped up into my feed, and I wasn't sure why, because I don't search out a lot of Christian podcasts. I've listened to some of them, but I'm not definitely in that algorithm, so I didn't know what it was. But it was about this lady, this young woman. She's 30, in her 30s, early 30s, talking about how she was a witch and she got out of witchcraft and turned to God, which more power to her. But I was wondering, how far she got into it. I've dealt with a lot of things like this. My uncle's ex-girlfriend or girlfriend, whatever she is, I don't know, sub-dev. So happy to be as far away from another human being as I can possibly be, because I pray for her every single day that she can rid herself of the negative attachments. But lots of evidence, and that she thought that she was a witch or that she practices witchcraft. I'm not going to name them all. I'm not going to have them be picked apart, but I have seen lots of evidence. And even with the way that she treated me, following me around, putting her cigarette in my face, I'm having, my ear pods in and she's getting in my face, even though she knows I don't want to talk to her. It was made very, very clear. Going into my room, locking the door, her kicking my door, calling me a bitch with my son in the house. Like, this is not of God. These are not positive. These are not enlightened attachments. So stay as far away from me. I wish you the best. Not going to be in my life. But the whole witchcraft stuff that I knew to be part of her practices, jar spells, incantations, speaking over, spells over, different things that I heard, that I observed directly. I wondered how deep this girl was going to get. And in listening to it, I was like, when is she going to get to the dark arts? When is she going to get to, like, the nitty gritty? And it never came. And you know what she was talking about? She was talking about crystals, or not crystals. This was the guy. The podcast is by, or sorry, the channel is a guy, I think Lecrae. He is an African-American gentleman. He looks pretty young himself, and he was interviewing this girl. And she was talking about yoga, definitely. She was saying that tarot, mediums, moon cycles, her being emo, which emo to me is apathy. It doesn't make you anything except depressed, except thinking that no matter what you do, that nothing's going to change and that everything is sad. That's your state of being, is apathy. Yoga, this is what tripped me out the most, is because I haven't done yoga in a while, but I love yoga. And she was saying that yoga or any kind of fitness is idolatry, like not even taking into account like being healthy. She was saying that it's idolatry of the body if you try to be healthy, or like in fitness, trying to make your body look good. And definitely using yoga. And she said, and I quote, yoga is a ritual for calling deities, and that not all movement is holy movement, and yoga is playing Twister on a Ouija board, basically. And I was like, what? She's condemning yoga, and she even had a lady in the comments talking about how there was a heat advisory at her son's school and that they did yoga and PE, and should she be concerned? Should she be calling the school? Should she be taking her son out of that? And I was like, whoa. She was condemning, the lady being interviewed was talking about how chakras and channels and energy are not like a thing. And that is the basic, concentrating on your breath, taking deep breath. For me, deep breaths have been a great combatant for anxiety, controlling your breath. Opening your channels can release blockages in your body that can very much cause, like the stress and things that you've gone through can cause actual physical illness, such as cancer and migraines and all kinds of things that happen in your body that are because there's negative energy trapped there. So opening up your channels, your chakras, your meridian lines, all of those things, energy, frequency, all of these things are real things. They are scientifically out there for you to study if you want to go look into those things. But she was denouncing them and saying that those were all demonic things. And I was just like, what? And even the Lecrae guy, brought up how he had a waitress that had a crystal necklace, and he was like, no, she's so far gone, and this girl was like, no, wait a minute, there's crystals in the Bible. And so being drawn to crystals doesn't make you demonic. Now, if you're idolizing crystals and putting those above God, then yes, but people are naturally drawn to crystals. And I was like, okay. So then I got more into it, because I was like, well, she's not saying everything in spirituality is demonic, but But then she got more and more, she doubled down into the spirituality concept, saying that if you say love and light, or you say you're more spiritual than religious. So if you don't adhere to religion, then you're just trying to be cool, she said. And that's not what resonates. That's not what should resonate with you. How can you tell someone else what should resonate with them? It's them. God, I don't believe that God cares if you're religious, if you're not, and what religion you are, if you have religion in your life at all. He doesn't care. And a lot of times I know this from going within and meditating on what I want the answers to, what I'm personally conflicted by, and that's how I'm led. I don't let tarot cards, I don't go to mediums, I don't, I've listened to lots of tarot. I have 2 sets of tarot cards. I don't believe that they're bad. I believe that your intentions behind everything sum up the entire situation. If you, like my uncle's ex-girlfriend, if you are doing it negatively, if you are trying to bully, if you are trying to create a false narrative about someone, if you are upset with them because they're not being submissive to your malicious intentions towards them, and therefore you're going to lash out at them in an attempt to control, that is something that you should question. That is something that's hurting someone else, or is attempting to hurt someone else. And it's also hurting you, because you wouldn't be doing that if it hadn't already happened to you. And that's what makes me really sad about bullies, is that they only do it because they were bullied, and it's a defense mechanism in order to make themselves feel powerful after event or said events have taken their power away from them and they were abused. So that's why I pray for them. I don't take it personally. I just don't want to be anywhere near it. Anywhere near it. But you can't tell someone what resonates with them and what doesn't resonate with them. They should be led by God in the way that they are led by God. If they want crystals, have your crystals. They are made by God. If you want to use herbs, they are made by God. You shouldn't be condemned. This girl never got to anything dark as far as what I know witchcraft to be. No sacrifices, no rituals as far as sex rituals, the whole sex cults that I have seen come into play, using hair, using blood, using, anything that the sympathetic magic, trying to emulate someone else in order to take their divine blessings instead of capitalizing on their own blessings that God has for them, because you're abandoning that. You are turning away from that when you decide to try and take what's someone else's. You're denying your own divine gifts. Those things. She never got into any of that. She was just trying to say that anyone that is spiritual or uses anything that they are led to use spiritually instead of religiously is a witch. And I was like, what? Which has also been said about me. And if you want to say that about me, I don't care. I don't care if it ticks your boxes. It takes me back to the Salem witch trials in 1692, where lots of people were unjustly killed because 2 little girls who were preachers' daughters got sick. And their only explanation for that, in the 1600s, where we didn't know anything about, the body and the health and illnesses, and we did not have the means that we do today to diagnose, that they diagnosed their illness because it was witchcraft. And then they started by centering around minorities, a Native American slave, a homeless woman, and then also these were the 3 front runners that the fingers were pointed out for causing these girls to be sick by witchcraft. But the woman, the third woman, was deemed insufficiently submissive by the colony, which I'm not a minority. I'm not a slave by, indoctrination, by programming, by society, but not a slave by any means in the way that this woman was, or, traditional slavery. But I've definitely been a woman deemed insufficiently submissive to agendas. And I've been forced into quote unquote homelessness. Um, so I definitely was like, it sounds like the fingers that have been pointed to me. And then in a court of law, they used what was called, I wrote this down, spectral evidence, because I forgot what they called it. They called it spectral evidence, and that is where they placed power in the hands of the accusers, needing no tangible proof to back up their claims. So these people were like, demons are telling me, and I'm having this hysteria with hallucinations that are telling me that these are witches and that they put hexes and curses and sent witchcraft towards me, and that's what's made me sick. And that's how they convicted these people and killed them. I mean, tons of people, until someone finally said that spectral evidence was not really evidence at all, that that was just someone spreading, you know, false narratives, pointing their finger at people that couldn't in any way refute such evidence because it was not tangible or factual at all, could not be proven in any way, but was used to hang them. And even preachers were hung. I think I watched a documentary once that said that they used as an indicator that if people could not recite the Lord's Prayer like fluently, that it was considered like an indicator of whether they were truly godly or not, and that the preacher that was hung, did it without any stumbles. And then another preacher got up, a younger preacher in the colony got up and said that it didn't matter, that he was still bad. And then they were like, yeah, hang him anyway. And this is how things happen. And that is still how a lot of things are carried out in society. If there are rumors and lies and false narratives and smear campaigns spread, if people call you a witch and they only go by what the Bible says factually, and anything that deviates from that is witchcraft, or spirituality is witchcraft, it's not. You need to look deeper, because there's a lot of darker, deeper things that go on. And a lot of times it's the person sitting right next to you in church. It's not the person that's on YouTube or on in the comment section or posting pictures of themselves on Instagram with their crystals and saying love and light and how they're spiritual, not religious. That is not that's not just me being triggered either. In my observing, I took into account what Jordan Peterson says when he says bad things happen to good men who hold their tongue. And I definitely consider myself a good person. I don't want to hurt anyone. I only want to spread love and help as much as I can, and not for self-serving purposes. I just want to tell you by what I learned through my experience. And it also brings me back to the Thomas Jefferson thing, that all tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for men of good conscience to remain silent. And for that simple fact, I will never remain silent, but I have to speak up for everybody, because I don't want modern day witch hunts going on. It's already happened to me. I don't want it to happen to other people. That just because you're into spirituality does not make you a witch. And that is what this young lady was saying. And the irony of it all, the contradictions and the hypocrisy, was that this guy, the Lecrae guy, had a Ty Dolla $ign plaque from where he did a song with him. And I looked at the lyrics to it, and I think the song was called Blessings. But the lyrics talked about that I won't ever think that I'm better than any. I won't ever think that I'm better than the next man. But that's all he did was condemn the next man and basically call themselves better because they take the Bible, verbatim, which is their choice. It doesn't have to be everybody else's choice. That doesn't make them a bad person. But that's all that he did. And then he continued to talk about the come up. His new car, cash money, diamond necklace he bought his girlfriend, and the private jet. And it was all ego. It was all very egoic in the song. And then also, Ty Dolla $ign is one of the biggest supporters of Diddy right now. He went to all of those white parties, those so-called freak offs, and he has said publicly many times that he is not that he doesn't believe that Diddy did anything bad. He's a huge supporter. And so if it was me, I would take it down. It's like me sitting here telling you all these things with an upside down pentagram on my wall behind me and then saying, I'm not better than any other man. I'm not better than any other man. I have made many mistakes, and I will tell you about all of them on here. I have. Go back to my very first YouTube message. Talk about a lot of the mistakes that I've made. So I don't know. But the guy, he said that he can redeem a strip club, but not a stripper. Is that what Jesus would do? He said that he could go into a strip club and that he could repurpose it and make it like a doctor's office or make it a store, but he couldn't redeem a stripper. Is that what Jesus would do? Would he tell a stripper, someone that has been traumatized, and so they use their body in a way to be powerful because that's what someone took for them. So they took their power back in owning their sexuality and using that as a way to stand in their power because they're hurt. They're hurt. That's what they're using to cover up their trauma. And he is saying that they cannot be redeemed. And I can't agree with that. And I would hate for anyone to go and unknowingly talk to someone who's been in that position and that may be in church now or just not going down that path anymore. Maybe they've done their shadow work. Maybe they've turned their life around and this person is saying they can't be redeemed. That I can go and take that brick and mortar building and I can turn it into something else, but God can't turn you into something else. You are unredeemable. Or that his son uses the word aura, like I was saying, that the Urban Dictionary now says aura, like drip, like it's something that's very superficial about like your clothes and how you dress. And the aura isn't our energetic like force field. There are aura cameras out there. You can have pictures taken to see what condition your aura is in, what colors, holes in it, used by, made by debauchery. The more you drink, the more you have addictions, the more that you are synced up with other negative, low vibing energies and frequencies. That's your aura. And he was saying that even as drip, he wouldn't let his son use aura because it was rooted in spirituality. But yet he sits there with this Thai dollar sign plaque right behind him, and he's like acting holier than thou. And that's what gets me. That's what gets me about people that proclaim to be Christians when there are actual Christians out here that are helping humanity, that are not judging, that are giving their very last dime because they know that God will give it back and that God will take care of them, and they are taking care of God's children who are lost, who just need a helping hand. They're giving them all a bad name. They're making them all look like they're all the same, that they represent this community when they do not. They do not. That's not what it is. And that's where I want to tell you guys that I do not subscribe to everything about Christianity, but the church hurt that is being put on people is because self-proclaimed Christians that go out there, just like the people that claim to be speaking in tongues, I do not believe that at all. I believe that is a mask, that you don't know what you're saying. You're putting on a show. And even a lot of people in the church will tell you that that they refuted any kind of speaking in tongues after it was used to validate the apostles. Anyone other than that, not real. Putting on a show. You're fake. It's a $3 bill. So that is my take on it, though. That is my personal opinion. But that is the same thing that a lot of quote unquote Christians that put on the Christian mask, but they are really in their ego making these songs with Thai dollar sign and advertising it on their podcast where they're saying that they're not better than any other man, but yet they can redeem a strip club but not a stripper. Like, don't follow that. Go inside. Look for God living in everything, and how if the devil is in the details, God is not living within those people, and you shouldn't be worrying about spirituality creeping into church when you've got these self-proclaimed Christians sitting front and center every day and doing podcasts and having millions and millions of followers on YouTube, proclaiming to be a Christian. They're sitting front and center saying, I'm a Christian, and they are doing the things that Jesus wouldn't do. God would never have told them to do that or led them to do that. They're in their ego, they're judging, they're hypocrites. The irony of what they're saying, all of it, you have to look deeper into that and look for God in every single thing. And if you can't tell immediately, go within and ask Him, pray about it, meditate on it, see what answer He sends back to you, and go with that above all else. I saw a lot of, I was going to say, to not just use my own things. I went to the comment to see, like, am I the only one that's like rubbed the wrong way by this? Is it like, am I feeling personally attacked by their projections, or should I take up for people that are like me that are not demonic? Because this lady was clearly not ever a witch, unless it was a witch in the terms of the witch hunts, which spiraled out of control. That whole thing, which was completely made up. It was completely made up. So, but this person in the comments said, how does all of this make her a witch? All I'm hearing is some lost girl trying to find her way in different modalities. People have their struggles, fine, but don't put titles to clickbait people when the individual has no real experience in this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. Also, someone said, this is bullshit. The people who founded these religions didn't want us to know how powerful we are. These tools and knowledge that we are given were given to the ancient civilizations, and this is exactly what Jesus was preaching on, our abilities. And someone said, I'm glad someone said it. And then someone said, asking out of curiosity, how exactly did Jesus preach about our abilities? And so I looked it up to see, because I haven't read the whole Bible, and it says the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30. Jesus illustrates how each servant was entrusted with specific amount of talents, and that we need to use these talents to grow and develop, to serve others, and to bring glory to God. So it's in there. This girl was also saying how that God hears the prayers of the righteous, and that the only reason that she was able to come up out of this was because someone else prayed for her, that she didn't have any way to be heard by God herself, even when she thought she was praying to God, that she, the only reason is that someone else prayed for her. So do not think that either. Do not think that you praying to God is going to fall on deaf ears because you are into something demonic, even if it's like something that's a lot deeper than this and you are trying to get out of it and find your way. God always hears you. He is always there for you. He loves you just like He loves everyone else. He loves you so much, and He wants you to know how you're powerful, how that He made you in His image, how that you have gifts and abilities, that it's not going to fall on deaf ears, and you don't need someone else to pray for you. It's great for other people to pray for you, don't get me wrong, but that is not the only way that God is going to hear you. And that if you are needing even to course correct, or that you are in something that someone else is condemning and saying that it's wrong, but it's working for you, however we get there is the best way. You shouldn't give up. As long as you're not hurting anyone else or yourself, and you're not using negative intentions to guide your life and trying to get a come up off of someone else's downfall. It's about not giving up. You don't want to have to start over. The things that we don't learn, we are destined to repeat. Learn your lessons. Get in and get out as quick as you can with the least amount of trauma and suffering as possible, but keep moving forward in whatever works for you, as long as it's not hurting you or anybody else. It doesn't matter. He is there for all of us, no matter what you're using to get there, no matter what vehicle, no matter what modality, what religion. He is there for all of us, every single one of us. So, yeah. She was saying horoscopes. You shouldn't use horoscopes or think about astrology, that's demonic, and that we don't even use those calendars anymore, putting down pagans when a lot of Christian practices are derived from the pagans. Someone said, bro, if you look deep enough into all religions, including the Bible, in our calendars you guys are talking about, you'd see that all of our scriptures, even traditions, are directly from pagans. And someone else said, yep, better stop decorating those Christmas trees because they originated from the pagans. And Jesus wasn't born on Christmas Day like they celebrate, which has been widely discussed. And the Bible wasn't written by man. Bible was written by man and made by man, not God, which is why a lot of the things in the Bible are very concerning to people, and that the fact that we pick and choose. And she even said herself that you can't piece together parts of the Bible to fit your purpose. But what are sermons doing every Sunday? That's my question. You're not just reading from one part of the Bible. They'll skip around and pull from this and pull from this. And then if you go into like the glossary or the index or whatever it's called in the Bible, I don't know. I went through Christian counseling, and a lot of different things were labeled as far as if you needed this message, if you needed this message. And if you were talking about heartache, if you were talking about family, if you were talking about witchcraft or whatever, it's not in just one place in the Bible. It skips around to many different books. It's discussed all over the place. So it's not just in one place. So if you're piecing together things, much like a sermon is on Sunday, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? If it's getting you where you need to go, if it's helping you. So many contradictions were in that message. And she also said that someone was talking about Mother Earth, and she said that there's no mother. To not even say Mother Earth, that's demonic. And I think back to not only in Dogma, where Alanis Morissette was God and she was a woman, because that is satire, but in The Shack, I never read the book, but I did see the Netflix version of The Shack, and how God was a woman to this man who was struggling, and he said, is God a woman? And she said, I can be whatever I need to be. That we all embody divine masculine and divine feminine qualities. We are all divine. We all have both qualities of each gender within us, whether you like it or not. Some balance them out, some have more than others. No judgment there either. It is what it is. And I don't believe that if we are that way, that God is not that way. He is in all of us. He is definitely that way. Whether you call it a woman or a man, he's going to be whatever he needs to be in order to nurture you and get you to where you need to be in order to grow and not be stuck and not give up. Not give up. That is the constant theme. Do not give up. Whatever you need to do to not give up. So someone said, that's the part that really got me, was the statement, there is no mother. And when we quote scripture, it's important to consider what version of the Bible we are referring to, from going through a very similar process and constantly finding new information and thought forms to consider. I can tell, like me, this person is still learning and growing. And like me, one of the parts of the growing process is feeling like, in order to be accepted as a Christian, for example, means that I have to completely reject one expression of religion or spirituality to fit into the constructs of a form of Christianity that also has a troubling past, since being altered and religious doctrine edited. So I see the manipulative religious dogma in this conversation that's just as concerning as the concerns expressed about other religions or spiritual systems. So it's just replacing one experience with another one that's equally laced with its own set of problems. King James, for starters, the celebration of pagan holidays, which are not Christian dates even, the editing of the calendar, the rejection and removal of certain books or editions of the Bible, and the editing of our worshiping date. I am still learning, and the more that I learn, and the more that I stick my foot in my mouth, because everything is so distorted that it's easy to go from one indoctrination to another with the intention of being loyal to one set of ideology. And the more that I see the corruption in everything, the harder it gets to being loyal to any set of ideology, knowing that the one I believe in, which is what Christianity stood for, is not like the end all be all, which is what I said in my last message. And I did go to a Baptist church one time that told us literally to go door to door and to tell Catholics when you meet them, that they need to convert, that they're going to go to hell for being a Catholic. And that is how a lot of Christians that I have met that have been part of the church hurt thing, they want you to condemn other people for not believing exactly what they believe, even if they are connecting with God and living their life right. And you have no right to do that. You have absolutely no right to do that. That makes you hurt other people, which is not what Jesus would intended. You are hindering yourself by living your life in that way. You should love everyone. Love is why. Love is why. Say that to yourself. The lady also said that the Four Agreements, that book, I have not read it, but that it is demonic. And I looked up the Four Agreements. Number 1 is be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. And 4, always do your best. What is wrong with that? What is demonic about that? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me? Her think about yoga. Someone said yoga means union with body and spirit, has nothing to do with the worshiping of deities. What she is saying about yogis being angry when challenged, Christians do the same thing. Does that mean either practice is evil? Challenging one's beliefs doesn't equate to evil. I respect her testimony, and at the same time, a lot of what she is saying is from her own experiences and her perception of it. People, be free to seek God in whatever way you choose. Only God can tell you if you're wrong. Go within. Ask God. Ask God. Someone else said the argument against crystals is ironic considering the diamond engagement ring. The same, because she was wearing a diamond engagement ring. The same argument can be used to say, why do you have it and why not to get rid of it? Same with metals. Crystals are made of elements, and so are metals like gold. Herbs are often burned in the Bible as well as incense. God made creation and called it good. The issue is using God's creation is that he wants us to lean on him and be guided by his will. And humans use these things to lean on their understanding and enact their own will, separating us from God. So you have to know when you're putting those things above God. You definitely have to use it with good intentions and not use it as a way of idolatry. Someone said if you were weak-minded, then yes, you should avoid yoga, astrology. However, if you're strong-minded and have faith, then there's no position or thing that can get in the way of your love for him. If you are spreading fear, then you are still working for demons. For when we are afraid, we are easily influenced. Continue to pray and trust God, and he will protect you. So these people weren't being they did feel the projections. They did see how they're living their life is not demonic, and that's what she was trying to create, that fear in other people and to get them to judge and condemn the people that are using those things that are not demonic. That's just what she's calling them. They weren't being, attacking her anyway. And someone said, hey, thanks for your reply. You seem very rational and calm. Feel free to not respond. I'm just going to spitball some of my things that I'm thinking. I'm unsure of what constitutes a bad person. We are all bad people when it comes down to it. Our clothes are from sweatshops. It goes on and on and on about how God created them too. Do I need a book or religion to meet divinity? Or can I touch divinity myself in every moment of every day without dogma or a religion boxing something which by its very definition is unboxable? This is what I'm telling you. I have said it so many times. And even someone who came that does practice the occult and does talk. I think they even say in this message that they said they were a witch. But they said, I'm not going to lie. I have come to this conversation with an open mind. I am someone who practices the occult, and I'm about halfway into the interview and not actually seeing any solid points made. All I'm hearing is, I used to think these practices were good, and now I know they are bad, which is fine. More power to you if Christianity is the path you want to walk. Of course, walk whatever you want to walk. Do whatever you want to do that leads you to God, that gets you there, to keep you from giving up if you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. But There isn't anything of actual substance I'm seeing here. What makes yoga demonic? What about Buddhism? Is this demonic? What about the Catholic Church? Is that demonic? And these same people that are putting on this Christian mask will say yes, yes. You need to tell them it's demonic, because they are standing on not solid ground that they built with a firm foundation with God. They are condemning others by judging because they are not doing the exact same thing that they are doing, which is how people get hurt in church. Um, where is the line a Christian draws between demonic and non-demonic? Is it only your version of Christianity that's not demonic? Is any belief that doesn't lead you to Christ demonic? The problem I see with the distinction in that is it doesn't allow for differing beliefs. It's just my way or the highway approach. This just sounds like human beings being human, essentially just grouping them into tribes, diving into beliefs that confirm the reality, and then going ahead and claiming that any different tribe is the enemy. We are not enemies. We should not be divided. We should be unified. If anything else, we are all part of the same thing. We are all connected. So trying to hurt someone else is only hurting yourself because they are you. We are them. It's all connected. It's just dogmatic thinking. No, why can't both Buddhism and Christianity both be passed to divinity? Don't all roads at the end of the day lead back to God? So I love that. That's why I wanted to print those things out, because there was so many good points being made. But go listen to it yourself. I don't remember the girl's name, and her name wasn't in the title when I wrote down the information, but the channel, his name is Lecrae, Lecrae. Go check that out for yourselves and see what you get. But do not take any of the projections in. Just because you are doing that, all roads lead to God. And if you are confused and the discernment isn't there and you don't immediately see God or not see God in it, go inside and connect to Him directly by yourself. Take out the middleman, take out all of the other noise and confusion, and ask Him yourself. And He will tell you. He will always tell you. He loves you. He wants you to do good. I love you. As I said, God loves you. You are never, ever alone. We are all in this together, and you have many guides and angels protecting you at any given time. So don't ever feel alone. Don't ever sink into that apathy. You can be emo if it's stylish, but don't let that run your life. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. Always find something to be happy about. If I can find something to be happy about, and the things that I held most near and dear to me and identified with and I thought were what made me me are gone, and I believe temporarily. Um, you still can find something to be happy about. There's always a silver lining. There's always beautiful things every single day. My walk in nature today, I could list you 20 things that I'm happy about right now, even though I don't have those things that I'd identified with and thought were the only things that can make me happy. God is going to call each one of us to get on our path and be in our purpose. He's not going to reveal things to you until it's time to reveal things to you. He wants you to stay focused, grounded, and balanced. He's not going to reveal what you need to know until you are ready. Like me sitting here as a 25-year-old telling you all these things wouldn't hold much weight because I haven't been through a lot of learning. I haven't been through a lot of things in my life. But now I have, and I can sit here and tell you in great degree what I've been through and how God's been there with me every step of the way and guided me whether I thought He was there or not. And He never let me down, and He won't let you down either. Just trust Him and have faith. He's always there, and He loves you so very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.